Hello everyone, in this video we are going to see about the agile approaches. The agile approaches are three in numbers. They are lean, scrum and extreme programming. Let us see one by one. First about the lean approach. Lean originated in 1940s Japanese manufacturing when Toyota studied supermarkets to create a just-in-time system. So that was the base from the Japanese manufacturing system. Unlike traditional mass production, which relies on high inventory, heavy machinery, low-skilled labor, and wasteful supporting system, Toyota's approach reduced inventory, space, and cost while empowering factory floor workers to make real-time decisions and take responsibility for results. So here, instead of having high inventory is the stock level and using of heavy machines and low skilled labors, and the system which supports are not that much efficient. So these are all the problems in the traditional mass production. So Toyota company, what they did, they reduced the inventory. That means the inventory is unwanted stock is reduced, so necessary stock is maintained, and naturally the space and cost also will be reduced, and the factory workers are empowered, so they feel they are important. So the empowerment of the workers, they tried real-time decisions on some problem which is going on, and accordingly they are able to do the work in a efficient manner. So they take responsibility for the results. That means when they are good in the results, they are given the incentive to encourage them, and when some thing goes wrong, they are again to discuss about the what has been gone wrong. So this is the way empowering the workers to engage them in the and take responsibility in the process. So in that way, Toyota approach successful. So they coined a method called this lean method of software project agile management, where this lean focuses on maximizing the business value while minimizing the non-essential activities. So first the focus on what is essential. So then we can minimize the non-essential activities. So this is about the lean. It is also called Kanban. Kanban is the lean method. And the process continues. What are all the key concepts of this lean method is eliminate the waste, remove unnecessary process steps, artifacts, meetings, and trashing, or building features beyond what is barely sufficient. So try to reduce the try to reduce the work and focus on what is very important. Okay, so here the meetings, unwanted meetings, too much meetings also is not going to help. So thrashing is a context switching, that is moving from one phase to the other phase. If we keep often switching from one phase of the production to other phase, it will again, it's a waste of time. So that is one way to reduce the waste. And then building features beyond what is barely sufficient. So that means build what is really sufficient. That is the way to eliminate the waste. That is the one point that lean Kanban approach focuses on. And next is the amplifying learning. Encourage discipline, transparency, regular inspection, adaptation, and an organizational culture that views failure as a learning opportunity. So if anything goes wrong, we have to learn from the mistake. That is the point they have encouraged, so that the people start learning and they have the transparency and regular inspection. So what has gone wrong, they are open to discuss, and accordingly, they are able to inspect what has been gone wrong and how to adapt new methods in order to come out of the failure. And the next point says about decide as late as possible. Delay decisions to the last responsible moment to base them on facts rather than uncertainty, using experiments and hypotheses. So, how much is possible? Delay the decision and then finally you make the decision. So don't take decisions and then and there immediately. So that will again confuse the process. So they make the decision as late as possible and deliver as fast as possible. So as soon as a part of the product is done, then deliver it as fast. So the customer will be satisfied. So that is the concept of limit work in progress and use just-in-time planning to shorten delivery cycles and get early feedback. So once we deliver to the customer, they will be able to give their feedback, so we can improve our process. So the next point next principle of lean development says empower the team. So support the teams to self-organize, master skills, remove roadblocks, and work autonomously. So give them the freedom, accept their decision, discuss with them what can be done better for the organization and what can be done better to improve the work. So that the way if the team is empowered, they are happy to share their feedbacks. Build in integrity, there is a quality, address and fix defects immediately when they occur rather than at the end of the development. So then and there we keep inspection and then try to remove the defects, fix the defects, which will give the quality product. And then see the whole. We should have a big picture in the mind. Focus on optimizing the entire system long term and addressing root bottlenecks rather than sub-optimizing single component. So suppose if one part of the product goes wrong, then you have to think as a big picture how this can be adjusted or this can be better done so that the whole picture, that means the whole process will be a successful one. So you have to focus on the optimizing the entire system. Okay, and removing the bottlenecks, any obstacles that comes on the way, we should be able to address and remove the bottlenecks. So these are all the 7 principles of lean software development called Kanban. And Kanban is a term that is used, a Japanese term that is used, it's a workflow method used to eliminate waste and optimize throughput. Throughput is the output given in a period of time. So how the practice goes is, they have primary practices of Kanban is visualizing work using signal cards, then boards, limit. So the work is displayed in a signal board. So the factory employees also are able to see often how much is completed and how much is yet to complete. That gives a motivation for them. So that is visualizing the work, and also display that work to the customers also. They can get the update then and there, and limiting the work in progress to complete items faster. So the and managing the flow by tracking lead time. So how much they have fixed the time to complete, and they can track the time, how much are able to work in on time, and the cycle time, how to again restart the work. So they have some control on the timing, that is the managing the flow. They can manage the flow of the work by controlling the or by inspecting the timing, starting time and ending time. And additional practices include making policies explicit, implementing feedback loops, and improving the collaboratively. So the team process, the collaboration is always important. So improve the collaboration and get the feedback from the customers. That will help too. So these are all the primary practices that a Kanban method uses. Foundational principles start with the existing process, pursue evolutionary change, initially respect current roles and titles, and encourage leadership at all levels. So whatever is existing for the time, start with that, and then look for the change. If any change comes, discuss with the people who is working over there, and give them the enough encouragement for the leadership for who they are doing the work. And at all levels, they should encourage the people, their leadership, and that encouragement will always support the production. So these are all the Kanban practices and foundation. Next method of Agile is the Scrum. So Scrum is an iterative framework built around short execution cycles called sprints, typically 1 to 4 weeks long, to deliver usable functional software increments. That means here it's iterative framework. So they have short span of time to build some portion of this work and then show it to the customer, get the feedback, and then again give in the next cycle, try to give some more portion of the product. So every cycle moves, they'll be able to produce some part of the work. That is the Scrum concept. It operates on 3 pillars: transparency, inspection, and adaptation. So the work is transparent. the process is transparent, so anyone can learn from that, and they can also give their feedback, and then they can also do some inspections and how the project or product is going on, and if anything has to be adapted, any changes happens, try to adapt the changes. That is the three pillars of Scrum. So this is the diagram that says the Scrum approach. Requirements are already done, and after that we are going to have the product done, and the products have this backlog, for example. Okay, so from the backlog you try to take a portion of the work and then do it as a sprint, a short cycle, and then in that sprint also you may get some backlog, because often we plan something, we're not able to get it the fully done, so we have some backlog in the sprint also. So that has to be cycled in daily Scrum as well as the weekly Scrum, and this try to produce some shippable products. So some part of the work is done and it is reviewed. Again, it is checked with the requirements to get the next part of the product. And when there is a backlog in this backlog of the product is discussed with the sprint people, the retrospect, they just look back what has to be done in the main product backlog. So they discuss and they move some portion to the sprint, and the sprint executes daily or weekly, and this cycle helps to get the shippable product done. Okay, so this is the approach of Scrum. So the roles in Scrum are product owner. They themselves are the roles. They represent the business needs, and they owns the prioritized product backlog. So owner, of course, they are the they plays the important role. And then about the development team, they dedicated multi-skilled cross-functional team. Cross-functional team means there are many functions as a whole in the product or a project. Anyone can work in any other team. That is called cross-functional. Not that one will stick on to only one type of work. They should be able to, if someone has some support to the next team, they should be able to support the other team also. That is the cross-functional team for execution, for technical execution. So the development team should is a dedicated team for that. And the next role by the Scrum Master. Scrum Master protects the team from distractions, removes the impediments, any restrictions in their discussion, some restriction in their, they can just come out and talk whatever they wanted to discuss. And for that, the Scrum Master makes a role between the product owner, I mean the product developer and the consumer. The Scrum Master plays an intermediate role. So they help to remove the impediments and ensure Scrum rules are followed and facilitates continuous environment improvements. So that is the role of the Scrum Master. And then comes the supporting roles. They are the stakeholders, because often they help to provide, they give feedback that helps to provide support to the development. And agile mentors are the coaches who guide the implementation. So they guide how it should be implemented in like the coding phase or the deployment phase, how that can be implemented. That is done by the agile mentors. So next role is given, and that are all the roles of the Scrum owner, development team, Scrum Master, and some supporting roles. And what are the artifacts of Scrum? Product backlog, a fluid, prioritized list of all product requirements from an end user value perspective. So, when you say a fluid prioritized list, means it's the flexible list of product requirements where the end user thinks of in their perspective what are all the products to be done and what is the backlog. And sprint backlog. So as we seen in the previous picture, from the product backlog, it is moved to the sprint backlog for a short cycle of 1 week or a day, and that work is done, and that is a broke down task. Okay, so that task is completed, and a sprint goal is set for that. And the next is about the product increment. So between the previous sprint and the next sprint, what has been developed so far. So now we have at the end of this sprints is over, we'll get the full product, a fully developed, tested, integrated, and potentially shippable piece of functionality completed during a sprint. So we get the increment after one cycle. So this is the way we are able to complete in a successful manner. So this is the process as being told. This is about the core events. What are the sprint recurring process does? they have a sprint planning meeting. They identify the goal, what has to be done, and then sprint happens, and here it complete the features and gain their acceptance. Requirements are 1, 2, and 3. It differs depending upon the building upon necessity. Requirement also changes, and from the sprint, that is, the sprint has daily scrum like 24 hours or weekly scrum like 1 to 4 weeks. So a short span of time they develop something and they'll give to the review, and review that is showcased to the stakeholders, the sprint completed features, and the stakeholders are able to give the feedback. Once the feedback is done, the team of people, they again look back about their retrospective. The Scrum team reviews and adapts the environment and the process. So like this, the cycle moves on, and they're able to complete the product in an efficient manner. These are all the events. Let's see one by one. The sprint. Sprint is the overall container cycle up to 1 month in which work is completed. And then sprint planning, a meeting at the start of the sprint to get this goal, select the scope and define the task. They define the task during the planning. And then daily scrum, a brief after 15-minute daily meeting where they update what has been going on and how much work has been done, and the work is coordinated. The progress is also inspected, and then the previous sprint review. The sprint is again reviewed. At the end of every sprint, maybe a week or a day, the meeting helps, and they review and they demonstrate the completed increments, and the stakeholders also, they will give the feedback on the completed portion of the work. So likewise, after that, the sprint retrospective, internal meeting with where the Scrum team reviews performance and agrees on the actionable improvements for the next sprint. So far, how much is done, how it is possible. Next sprint, what can be improved. That is the way the sprint cycle moves. So now the next third project management Agile approach is the extreme programming. It's a software-specific Agile framework that takes software engineering best practices to extreme levels to maximize the customer satisfaction. There are some situations where the customer has to be satisfied immediately. Then only they will have the trust to give the work to the concerned team. So in order to make them satisfy, the extreme programming concept works. So they take the best practices of engineering to do the things on the extreme level. So they focus mainly on the coding. Instead of doing all the other supporting things, they straight away keep the coding as a main principle, central activity. So code is used to both deliver solution and to communicate, explore complex problems. So they use the coding as the central activity. And then continuous testing. They keep on testing. Automated tests are designed. And before the code is written, they have many case studies and they keep on testing each successful criteria. So the continuous testing also give the confidence to move upon. And then direct communication. If any doubt the programmers have, they directly talk with the customer. There is no need to go with the manager, then the team manager, then to the customer. That will again take much of time. So let the programmer talk directly to the customer in terms of the customer, because programmers ideology or the terms the customer may not understand. Now the programmer's duty is to come down to the customer's level to get the requirements clear. And customers may also can gain knowledge about the work going on, and they can give some high level feedback to the programmers. That is the way the direct communication happens between the programmer and the customer. And next is the refactoring, continuous systematic improvements to code to reduce complexity and ensure maintainability. So they keep on again and again, the improvement is done continuously. So at the end, we can reduce the complexity. Okay, and once any error is done during the production without noticing, maintainability becomes a big issue. So now when we keep on refactoring, the maintainability become a comfortable one at the end of the product. So the key practices of extreme programming are so they have the as a team how they work. The whole team customers are collocated, and accessible to the answer team questions immediately. So everyone is in the team. Planning game, business and technical members plan together collaboratively. And customer define automated acceptance test to verify the features are working properly. Small releases, functionality is released to customer as frequently as possible. So multiple times, even multiple time per day is also done. Simple design. Code is designed as simply as possible to lower the feature change cost. So make the design simple so that the people understand clearly. Don't be too complex in order thinking that we are giving the best product. No, we are supposed to give that design, simple design. That design should be understood by the customer so they can support in the development also. And we have a concept called pair programming where two developers share one station. One acts as the strategic driver while the other acts as the tactical navigator. So two people work in station. Okay, and they are able to maybe a strategic driver in the sense they lead among the two, one lead the work and the other act as a navigator. So the other follow the one. Okay, so the one for the driver and the others is followed as a navigator. So both developers are able to do the program. That is called pair programming. And we have an approach called test-driven development, TDD. Developers write failing automated test first, then we write minimal code to pass the test and clean up. That is a red, green, clean. So here we have the test. Even developing also, the developers also able to give some test based upon their knowledge. Okay, so they'll give some. They write some failing automated test first, and then they write the minimal code to pass the test. So that means they go with the failing, that is the failure cases, and then they try to improve the passing of the test in a minimal code. So for example, there are multiple cases. First they look for the failure case, and then they go for the one case, successful one case, and second successful case. Like that they can go for all full successful cases. That is the concept of writing test-driven development. And then they have design improvement. Code is continuously cleaned to eliminate the duplication and inefficiencies. So design is also improved. Once the code is also improved, design is also improved. So simple design is given first, then they improve the design to get the next level of work done. And because of this design improvement, they can eliminate the duplication and inefficiencies. Then continuous integration, code components are integrated and built multiple times a day. So integration nothing but collecting different components of the modules, different modules of the product. So for example, if one module is tested, it is fine. Then they go for the next module, then combine both the modules, their components, and then test for the integration. Are they working together fine? Then when two modules work better, then combined with the third module, it is working fine. Likewise, all the n modules are integrated while being developed so that they can get the correct product at the end of the cycle. That's a continuous integration. It means keep on joining the components to get a successful testing. Okay, and then is the collective code ownership. The entire team shares responsibility for code quality, allowing any developer to modify any code. So anyone can develop the code, and everything has their own repository of what they have done. So everyone is given the ownership to code so that they can implement their thinking in the coding itself. And next is the coding standard. So normally they follow a uniform convention and identifiers are established across the code base. So they have some rules and regulations commonly how to follow, and also the naming convention, how the variable should be displayed, how the constant should be declared, and how the format should be, all things already established across the code base. And then metaphor, this uses shared simple analogies, example cooking a meal to describe system behavior. So they have some common terms to use, that is the metaphor. And sustainable pace, limit the work to 40 hours per week to prevent burnout and mistakes. So if they keep working continuously, everyone get burnout and mistakes happens. Okay, so they have to limit the work to 40 hours per week. That is the limit. They have some standard, and this helps to prevent the burnout, and mistakes will be reduced. So naturally we'll get the efficient product. That is the sustainable pace. That is the pace is the gap in between the development process. So that's all the three approaches of Lean, Scrum, and Extreme Programming. So as a summary, you can find the similarity between the three approaches of Agile. So Lean engages everyone. In Scrum, the cross-functional cross-functional development team is there. So everyone has, that means one team can do the work of the other team. So everyone is again encouraged. In the lean, engaging everyone is again the lean concept. And in extreme programming, everyone has got the collective ownership. Okay, so this is the point where the three approaches are similar in the sense that everyone gets the ownership, everyone is involved in the team. Okay, next one, optimizing the whole. Here we're optimizing as a whole. Here we have the product increment. We keep on increment. Scrum, we give sprints often to get the product increment, and we have the continuous integration. So that means as time goes, at the end of the process, everything will be optimized as a whole. That is the similarity all the three approaches work on. And about the delivery time, it is delivering fast. In the case of Scrum, they deliver for a week or a less, and in the extreme programming, they deliver as a small release. Immediately they code something, they release, get the feedback, and they go ahead. So these are all the similarities between the three approaches: Lean, Scrum, and Agile. Hope it is easy and simple to follow, and thanks for watching.